In 2019, we plan to spend $10,000 to replace 1,500 feet of curb. In the top right, you will see what our concrete approaches look like. We have approximately 125 of them in our community. 43 of them are listed as poor condition. In 2019, we plan to spend $30,000 to replace 20 of them. We also plan to spend $60,000 to crack seal half of all city streets to reduce the water infiltration, the water infiltration into the base, which causes potholes and base failures. We will follow up with street sealing. It'll be the Onex that we use this year, and we'll have approximately 60 blocks that we'll be able to seal behind crack sealing. That cost is $150,000. Water department improvements. Our water department consists of water distribution and water production. Our water plant, as with all technology, requires updates, and it is due for some software upgrades. Water line replacement. Get my visual tool for everybody. This is a water line that was taken out of service in the last couple weeks. It is a 2-inch galvanized pipe. It may have 50% of the space still allowed in it. Now, this does not mean your water is not safe, because it's plenty safe to drink. But as you can see, there's corrosion built up in it over years of service and does not allow the proper flow to be utilized any longer. We have 5 projects for water line replacement next year. It's going to replace 2,800 feet of water line that is currently 2-inch galvanized line with 4-inch PVC. We also be working on 4 projects inside the well field that will allow for additional check valves, drain backs, and new meters to be installed. Wastewater. As with our wastewater system and treatment collection system, it requires improvements to provide reliable service and meet regulatory requirements. These projects will include the continuous of raising manholes, as you've seen us do over the last several years. We will also be updating the controls to our generator, providing some additional resources for inventory of parts to provide reliable backup service. And we will also be constructing some storage facility for our sewer truck to be housed at. Facilities. The first thing I want to mention on facilities, none of the money that will be used for facilities comes from our sales tax. Sales tax was promised that it was for water, streets, and sewer. This is not any funds from there coming from sales tax. So as you can see, we have some facility projects that will take place next year. First one's being at the airport. In the bottom right picture, you can see a pink line that has been highlighted there. It is a new taxiway for additional hangar space. These projects are meant to enhance the use of the airport and extend the services to more users. Right now we have no hangars available for anybody to utilize. They are all full, and we have one additional hangar that's been contracted for purchase. Funding for those sources is primarily FAA grants. It is 90-10 split. For this project that starts in the spring of 2019, the city received $52,000 from local foundations to help meet our match. The rest of the funds come from FAA. The city office renovations, there's 2 projects there. One project is to make the facility ADA compliant. This project is part of the Strategic Doing Initiative. The second part of the project is to update the facility to improve space allocation, technology, and overall presentation. That second portion of the project will come all out of general funds. In closing, I'd like to make reference to how these projects will be utilized. Many of these projects will be completed by utilizing our staff. These men and women are very talented and dedicated to our community. They work very hard to meet the expectations set forth by this community. Many of them are in the audience. If you are a city employee, would you please stand up? . Most times it's a thankless job, but we are very fortunate to have you. Your talents and hard work saves us hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Thank you.
All right, so that brings us to the vision. Okay, this vision that we're going to share with you tonight was initially developed by the Economic Development Advisory Board, and I think we have quite a few in the audience. Could you stand up? Any board, economic development? There's Stacy, Terry, yeah, Max, Ange. Thank you. We meet once a month, every second Wednesday. And since then, since we've developed it, I've had the privilege to present to the 7th grade class and get their input. So you'll see some of that on the list. And I also presented at the Rotary Club, and you'll see some of theirs as well. First of all, I want to go over a few slides to show you why there's a need to start developing a vision and put plans in place to reverse some of the downward trends you'll see on these slides and to get the town moving forward. As you see, our population has been slowly declining over the last few years. I'll be interested to see what we end up next year. These are taken off of what's reported by the state. The second slide is a sales tax distribution for Phillipsburg. So this is taken off the Kansas revenue site, tax site. This is funds that we receive for our percentages. I want to highlight a couple of things. So we didn't have the 1% pool tax until 12. I think that's when that kicked in. So what I did with the 1%, so I could show apples and apples, I took the 1% and just doubled it. Okay, we only had a 1% though. But to show you how we are going up and down, I took that 1% sales tax amount times 2. What the red line represents is if we took the previous year of 2007 and just counted inflation rate, we should be up where we're at, up in the upper right there, almost $1 million. Okay? The last 2 years, we're showing an incline. We're going back up, which is good. Inflation's in the blue line already with our prices. So we've had a decline. We're still below where we should be if you take inflation into consideration. So I want to show that one. And then at the city, we count active residential meters. We report this to KDHE every year. As you see, in 2005, 2006, when Prairie Horizon was coming in, we had an incline, population, more meters, growth. Brooke left us in 9. We stayed stable for a while until about 2014, and we're in a quick decline. 1143 down to 1,040, and that's as of November 1st. That was how many we billed out on November 1st billing. So this is the Economic Development Advisory Board that started the initial vision. The ideas we'll share with the vision tonight are just that, they're ideas. We will not be funding them with tax monies. Okay? I want to make that clear. This is not about increasing your taxes. This is about establishing a vision and moving the town forward. We'll look at private funding, grants, fundraising events, everything we can to get these paid for. We can't afford any more taxes. So the first one of the first things that was brought out was Stacy, I think it was with the idea of, creating more of a positive culture. And Angie jumped in on that and said, I'll help you with that. To where our culture can become more positive. I think all of you know it's tough to get people excited about moving or doing business in your town if you're constantly seeing negative press releases and social media posts. It's very difficult. So before you hit enter, before you call the television stations, just understand the impact it's having. The press releases that were on the hair episode was Memphis, Cincinnati, every CBS affiliate there were. I got a Google release on it. It came and it showed, hey, that press release went out. So just be aware of that. So the 7th grade, they even came up with an idea around having a positivity wall. Now they wanted to put it on the courthouse lawn, which may be difficult to do, but they wanted somewhere where we could post positive ideas and comments about the city, which I thought was great. This is going to be centered around, there'll be banners around town that will have a word of the month type thing, like positivity is probably the initial one, I think. And there'll be about 5 banners around town that to try slowly change the culture around town. This is not the first city I've lived in that's done this. Owasso did it, Oklahoma. Topeka has done it. They're called City of Characters. That program, they no longer have a company that's driving that, but all their material's still out there that we can utilize. Everybody wants jobs. We've actually had a few people call. We've actually went and looked at a couple things, and we'll see. Gene has an interest in making sure they're careers versus just jobs. Doug, who was the PCED chairman before Stephen took over, he had entrepreneurship and diversification on there. And then increased new business construction came out of the Rotary presentation. Entertainment district, the 7th grade was all over that one. I think I had at least 9 different restaurants named. I think all of them were from Kearney. But it was quite amusing. I mean, they all had ideas. The downtown bar pub had more than a dozen people want that. Recreation center, this was every 7th grader wanted this, not just a handful. Every one of them wanted a rec center with arcade, bowling, laser tag, and gaming area. Putt-putt course, shopping center. So if you got an entrepreneurial spirit and want to invest in some stuff, there's some stuff here for you. Jane and Mildred are working on excellent health care, more doctors and health professionals. They want to see that by 2030, as well as a hospital upgrade. Mike Gower, we had this one. Everybody wants to see an excellent school system, and I think we have an excellent school system. Workforce development, trade school, VOTEC type, and here's where the type of ones that the Rotary came up with: welding, LPN, HVAC, computer, automotive, farm equipment, computerized, the new type stuff. ADA compliant city facilities, Tim Driggs, that's part of the strategic doing initiatives. He's heading that up. It's about putting elevators in city office so we can utilize the downstairs, and also in the community building so we can utilize the upstairs and the downstairs. We can only utilize one floor right now. Around housing, Dakota and Rhonda are working on that. We're trying to find some land that might be available to start building some houses. I know we did a housing survey with these two, and we had at least, I think there were 6 legitimate housing needs right now as far as building, high cost housing in town. City golf course, we're looking at the economics around that. whether the city to take it over or not. And that would also include annexing in the sand trap, and that would increase our tax base as well. Right now, that sits outside the city limits, if you didn't know. Good sidewalks. The seventh grade mainly mentioned that the Second Street sidewalks were not very good. And they also want one that's all the way to the corner of the highways 36 and 183, which I thought was an excellent idea. And I was quite surprised that a seventh grader came up with it. Very proud of them. The solid city infrastructure, everybody wants to see that. I think we've taken care of that one with the 0.5% sales tax that the city council approved. It's up to us to utilize it properly and make sure our infrastructure's sound. So I think all of you have heard about a sports complex. This idea started around the strategic doing initiatives. There was a team of, I think we got 12 on there, don't we, Sheila? There was quite a few on it. Hey, if you're on that, stand up. That you guys have been working hard. I know Sheila, Chris was in here. Chris is in there. Angie, yeah. A lot of them aren't here tonight, but let me tell you, they've been putting a lot of work in. This land was donated by the Morgan Foundation, contingent upon two things: naming it the Albert and Leona Morgan Sports Complex, and then making sure we secure the funding. I'm excited to share with everyone tonight that we've had $31,000 donated towards the Vision 2030 that would go towards the sports complex. These funds were raised by the Phillipsburg Youth Rec, by hosting tournaments, by the Girls Softball Association, Phillipsburg Little League, and sponsoring girls and boys 3-on-3 basketball tournaments over the year. So I don't know about you, but that's great news. So we had a company called Hellas come and present a turf option. And they said if we can raise enough funds to put turf at the sports complex, we'll have the opportunity to purchase turf at the football field at a reduced rate. Because one of the things I was quick to mention, how can we put turf on a baseball field? We don't have a baseball team in high school, yet we have a hopefully state-bound team, after we'll find out this Friday, that doesn't have turf. So they threw some plans in. I shared it with Mike. He says it's a great idea. We just got to come up with the funding. So redesigning the city park is one. And there's going to be 3 slides that discuss, or 4 slides actually, that talk about ideas around redesigning the city park. So once you move that sports complex, if you can get that moved out, that's on West 100 and Highway 36 on the southwest corner between the power lines and West 100. There's 62.5 acres in there that we're building we would build the sports complex if we can get the funding. That frees up your city park to do a lot of things. We basically have a baseball park down there that we spend about a month and a half utilizing, maybe 2 months. The rest of the time it sits pretty empty outside of the playground area. So one of the things is Jillian Bull is leading this project around a walking trail around the park. Now the vision is to eventually go around the entire city with a walking trail, but the initial focus is around the city park. And she's working on this project to earn her gold award in Girl Scouts. So Rotary came up with a splash pad, and it's the second time we'd heard that. So that was in the plan originally. And this picture's from one that's in a city park in another town. But something similar to this where kids can cool off after they're playing and utilize the park a little bit more. This is I didn't know if everybody knew what an amphitheater was. There's varying types of amphitheaters. This is one I took out of Mentor, Ohio. Sarah Rudd shown interest in leading this strategic doing initiative as far as building an amphitheater around pretty much where the baseball park is, and facing it towards the hill where people can sit. And then we'll have some seating below as well to have plays, concerts, everything you do in an amphitheater. Other ideas, second pickleball court. Sherry Robinson expressed an interest there. They're also putting in pickleball into the court, community building. They'll be playing winter pickleball. And then additional picnic areas and parking and landscaping. And last week, we were successful in getting an intern position approved by the Dane G. Hansen and Kansas State Research and Extension intern program. So we'll have an intern next May, around May 28th, I think it is, that'll come in, take all these projects and design them. And it doesn't cost us other than we have to provide housing. So if anybody wants to sponsor an intern, I mean, we'll find a place for them, but if anybody wants to sponsor an intern, I'd be glad to hear from you. I know families have done it in the past. So this is Hoisington's Activity Center. So this would be, the idea is to build an activity center similar to Hoisington's, where the K-18 field is currently, the Legion Field it was once known as. To tell you a little bit about theirs, that this is a handicap accessible, features a 2,000-seat gym, concessions and common area, public racquetball, exercise room, wellness center, craft rooms, lockers, dressing rooms, and a walking track on the upper level. The building has 60,100 square feet, and they also put in an RV park in the east side of their parking lot for visitors who had needed RV hookups during tournaments. So by having something like this, you'll be able to sponsor volleyball tournaments here and basketball tournaments for youth and bring in people spending money, as well as I lost the other thing I was thinking about. The train left the rack, the rail. Their recreation commission has an office space. Let's see, that's the lower level. They have one on the upper level, and the high school has their weight room and wrestling practice room located on the lower level. Now I know where I remember is wrestling. We can't host regional wrestling here because we can't put 3 mats on the floor, and you got to be able to do that to host regionals. So with this facility, you'll be able to do that. Again, a lot of people coming in and spending money in your community. Okay, there's the wrestling room and the weight room. And their wellness center's in there as well, so that would probably free up some other space if we could move the wellness center there. They're open 5 to 9 p.m. on weekdays, 9 to 5 on Saturdays, and 1 to 5 on Sundays. This costs them $5.6 million, and I think I took in inflation. I think it'd be around $6.5 million to build something like that. Now, I want to remind you, you're sitting in a $2.8 million building right now that was privately funded. So it is possible to raise large sums of money. They did it in 3 years. This is a 12-year plan, so don't go naysaying on me yet. Where there's a will, there's a way. So they got $500,000 from, I was talking to Paula today, they got $500,000 from the Maybe Foundation out of Tulsa that donates to nonprofits. Oops. So other ideas that were out there, the expanded daycare hours beyond what they're talking about now was one of them. Expanding the therapy pool hours. Seventh graders want also a year-round pool. They also wanted an 18-hole golf course. I did not put that down because I know that one's not economically feasible. Increased tourism and arts, which is a great idea. I think you get some of that through your amphitheater. Community garden, homeless shelter, soup kitchen, and more appealing North City entrance. That was all in the vision. So with that, could you grab that mic? So this is a citywide vision. This isn't an Economic Development Advisory Board vision or seventh grade vision or Rotary vision. This is everyone's vision. So if you've got something you want to add to it, we'll be more than glad to put it down tonight. Also, if you have any questions about anything that you've heard tonight or any rumors that you've heard, I would be more than glad to answer them. Like I said, we're very transparent. So, Max.
We on? Okay. On the sports complex out there, the 62.5 acres or whatever, do we have any kind of an estimate on the facility, the parking, and stuff that we want to build out there, what that might run into? I know
Cost-wise?
Yeah, just an estimate.
Yeah, so we've had 3 people draw different diagrams, okay? 3 engineering firms. We've heard everything from 3.8 million to 7 million, depending on what you do. So, and that's what the team's working through on what the design is.
Right.
So,
Well, I just want, if we're going to have it contingent upon the funding, we just need to know what our
Yeah.
goal is, where we're going to head.
I
so.
think you could do it justice between 4 and 5. Any others?
If we were spitballing ideas, I think a dog park would be pretty cool.
Okay.
It could be fenced in and stuff, because I know there are so many dogs that aren't getting enough exercise. And I know, like, all of my neighbors, like, their dogs get out a lot, and I know that sometimes you just need to exercise your dog. And if you don't have a place to exercise your dog, to play, like, frisbee for, like, a large dog, like, if it was fenced in, that would be pretty cool.
So they can socialize.
And, yeah, to socialize the dogs.
Yeah.
Because that's
And
important for training.
it's a big thing in the cities. I mean,
Yeah.
you'll see a bunch of them out there.
Yeah, because my sister
Good
lives in
idea.
Augusta, and she has one that's all fenced in, and it's so cool. So, I don't know.
Appreciate it. That's great.
All the sports complexes and everything are all well and good, but if we don't have a viable downtown business district,
Right.
then what? It concerns me because we've been in business here for more than 50 years, and we're thankful for the business we have, but we're needing more of that. I don't object to the sports, but it seems to me that's what's taking the preference.
Oh, I know none of these have more importance than the other. That's just got a lot of energy from individuals that there's 14 individuals that have a lot of energy to work it. Around the entertainment district, Angie's heading that up. Let me go through that. So it's out there. I mean, it's on our vision to have a downtown area, an entertainment district that has more restaurants. I mean, is that what you're talking about? Okay, I'm sorry. I need business. Oh, visitors. Okay. Well, I consider a restaurant a business. I'm sorry. But okay. Okay. Yeah, I agree. We have shopping center up there. I'm sorry. That's up there. Nobody's disagreeing with you. I mean, yeah, I agree. We need more business, more revenue. We'd love to have.
I'm pointing fingers, and I beg your pardon for doing that, but if you invest a lot of money in a business, don't you want to be open during the hours customers are interested? Somebody wanted to come from Smith Center to shop at Christmas time on a Saturday
Uh-huh.
when they had a free day. Guess what?
You're
They're
about
not
the
all
only
open.
place open.
And I am pointing fingers, and I am very sorry for that. But I do think it is an important factor. I really do. Because then they went back home. They could have spent big bucks here.
Well, hopefully we can reverse that. Max, can you stay open? Cricket. You need to hit the button on the bottom. The bottom. There you go.
I just want to say that Jim and I have lived here 10 years now this year. And I think that to all the people in the United States that I know, one of the bragging things that I've said about Phillipsburg is how it has been so easy for me after having lived in places like Los Angeles or Denver or Washington, D.C., and to say that almost every kind of business or service is within, frankly, walking distance, yes, biking distance, yes, walking distance. There are so many businesses around the courthouse square that I think that's one of the big attributes of this city. Whereas in larger cities, you have to drive 5 miles to some service or other business.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe to add to Mrs. Sawyer's point, perhaps what she's suggesting is, at least that's what I'm getting from her comment, is that she would maybe like to see more of the businesses become established, some building within the downtown area, so that it keeps the downtown area vibrant and it keeps people coming. So kudos, as far as I'm concerned, to the city of Phillipsburg for having made so many businesses like the insurance, the theater, the grocery store. All of that is within walking distance or biking distance of the courthouse square. So kudos to that. Let's capitalize on that.
Yep, thank you. Anybody else? Well, if you have suggestions, you can send them to me, lancemunion@yahoo.com, or you can stop by the city office and give them to the girls there. That's all I had for tonight. I appreciate you coming out. I want to wish good luck to the Panthers on Friday. We're all very proud of them, and we hope we're headed to state in a week. Thank you.